Well, hello, good afternoon to you, and welcome to Tottenham Hotspur USA. I am DJ Paul, and down there, or across there, over there, whichever way I am, I'm DJ Paul. On a serious note, though, we can't be too serious with everything in life. We have to be able to take these situations with a smile. And so we get too caught up, even in the football, even in the discussions, in the debate. We want to sort of enjoy it. That's what it's there for. And so, even this discussion about who is coming, who is going, and all of that good stuff, we need to take it in strides. And so, pardon me, just looking at what's transpired over the entire window, and we got off to a very good start. It doesn't mean that we have taken a backward step. It just means that things are not going as fast and as quickly as or as in the same numbers in terms of securing players as we did when the window first opened. And that is supposed to be a good thing, that right or wrong, whether or not we like those players, the manager and the back room went after those players because they were available and make sure that those are the ones that he need for his program, and the back office or the back room went out and do what they need to do. And you want to see that. That is not something that you associate with Spurs over the years. And we can attribute that to one Mr. Daniel Levy. Now Mr. Levy is gone, and we're not going to beat upon Mr. Levy. We're going to take it in the strides because one of the good things that came out in the revelation is how profitable we are. We know we are profitable, but we never seem to be able to spend that money on players. And so for all the infrastructure and the mortar and concrete that I often spoke about is and steel is that we are now in a situation where we're spending the money on the football, and hopefully that will be the case. Whatever transpires and whatever aspirations other people have, the sons of the old man and Lewis, and the change of to Charrington and leaving. That is not important right now. What is important to us as fans is that we're going to get a team that was thought about. And so even during this time, I'm not going to go through all the things that happened. We know what happened. We know, Vuskovic leaving. We know Ramirez on the brink, and also the incomings. The incomings are pretty much what is important in this discussion, because the incomings are going to, send a shockwave through the club, and there are players that definitely needs to move on. I just completed a list, and I have 10 players, 11 players that on a good day, a really good day, none of them are supposed to be at the club. And I'm very serious about that. And if I started to backtrack on that, I might say only three of those I would say we can keep or should keep. And that's Bergval. I'll give Bergval his due, Mikey Moore, and Gray. Everyone else after that, including Tell and Odebeer, Richardson, Salmon, Yang, Takai, and I did not have Ashley Phillips here. And that means, of everything, 6, 7, and 4, 11, 12 players, we're talking about that may not be contributors to this season. And it all depends on what happened to Tell. So the squad is in bad shape if we want to be honest with ourselves. And so when you bring in a player like Tonali and Fernandez, you have to observe the effect that it has on the rest of players, and play, and those who are going to fall in that situation are going to have to now make a decision for themselves, or the club will have to make a decision for them. The manager also have to make a decision. And I know that coming out of all this with Bergval, maybe through his camp, saying that he needs to go. He needs to go because he needs playing time, because he doesn't see his path, to the first 11. And so, if for De Zerbi that is not important, whether you're in the first 11 or you're going to be part of his too deep setup, I think that's a conversation you will want to have with Bergval. But then when you look at it, because the eye test is very important, you can surmise what the conversation is going to be, that, is going to ask about, Gallagher and Benton Kerr, in the sixth and the eighth spot. And if you look further afield and you said, well, if he's a number eight and Fernandez, is going to play there and is going to play majority of the time there, what's left for him? You can ask that question. And if the Zerbi said to him that, well, we can slide you up to the number 10 spot because Javi is not here, then what happened when Javi comes back? What is going to happen there? And also, it could be just the fact that, the way De Zerbi wants to play, you could stick Benton Kerr behind, Tonali and Fernandez in a pinch, to change the dynamics of a game, and that would not include a number 10, because now you have two of your best midfielders, with Madison out of the way, who can go now and play as two eights. You can convert one of your six to an eight, and then you can use two eights, with a six behind him like Benton Kerr or even Gallagher, or you can still, go with Tonali as your number six, and Fernandez and Gallagher as your number eights, two number eights, if you can find, a number 10, so they can share the burden with Javis Simmons out, and maybe, Madison not on his game. So it's easy to see that Bergval is not necessarily crucial to what De Zerbi is doing. You can easily see that. Even if you want to go with Gallagher and Tonali to add some spine, or Benton Kerr, you could always say, I'm not going to use a 10, I'm going to use Fernandez, who can also put his foot on the ball and can direct the team and play him as the number 8. So you could actually use two number 8s. You don't have to have a 10. And so there are ways to show that the right thing, is being requested by Bergval, is that I need to go, because there are many ways that players who are going to be here can manipulate the time, and I don't have the time that I need at these positions. His position is so easy to fix. He's not that crucial to the team. And therefore, when you look at it and say he has been here for 3 years and 4 managers, I think it's the right thing to do. And doing the right thing, by him, is not selling off your young players. All of these players that I name here, can fall into a block, including, Dane Scarlett and those players that came in as youngsters. Dane Scarlett is an academy player, and was an academy player. Only Dane Scarlett I have here is an academy player, and Mikey Moore. But we're not going to sell Mikey Moore. We know that. Mikey Moore is in a different category, from Bergval. Bergval comes in as players we bought. One of the players we bought from other club, and hope to develop them into first teamers, and that is not going the way it is supposed to. And I think it's time for him to move on. If you move these players in this tier, which I call the level one, or tier one, of the players that really need to go. You take all those young players that you brought in, and you figure out who are the stayers, and you get them out. You sell them, or you send them out on loan. You can have 8 players out. 8. You can get 8 of them, through the door, without worrying about any implication of that happening. And if it gets too much, you find out what's happening. You can release a player, especially one that is on low salary, and it's not going to cost you much. Or you buy low, and you could take the hit on that. So if we're moving these players, then it will be to the benefit of the academy, that we move. If we move 75% of these players, we're talking about 6 or 7, 7 to 8 of these players. We can move them out, and that will free up 8 spaces for the academy now to look ahead to see if they can make it into the first team. So I don't understand why people are so against selling these players. They have not fulfilled the promise. Maybe not their fault, maybe the failure of a manager, maybe the failure of the system. Maybe today is just a day that you take stock and said the whole projects that we have and the change in managers have not worked. And therefore we need to reset because it is important to retain what is in the academy rather than players that are coming from Europe. If you're going to come in and you're not going to effectively affect the first team in a profound way, then once your failure point is identified, then it's time for you to go. And the same thing for senior players like Richarlison and Solomon. They need to go as well. And if Odebeer and Tell is not cutting it, as young players that are not here, that came here on from other clubs, they are more mature in the sense that they're first teamers and they came as first teamers, and therefore if they are not cutting it, they should be in the same category as Richardson and they should go as well. So even though they're young, they came in as first team players from other clubs. And when you break it down like that, you can see clearly that there's a distinction between the players that you brought in, that you went out to Europe and said, I want that player and I want to develop him for later. The problem that we face right now is that it's not Bergval's fault. But when you look at it and you said 3 years ago, Bergval was supposed to stop us, and Gray and Sarr and Udogi, type was supposed to prevent us from going out there and spending, 85 million pounds or euros on Fernandez and 100 million on Tonali, because they were supposed to develop to the point where we know they would be the first teamers at their age. They're supposed to be becoming veterans at their age after 3 or 4 years at the club. And we don't see that. So what we end up doing, finishing 17 twice, even though we win the Europa, that's band-aid. And so now we're looking at it where we don't have them develop where we can slot them in and say, go do your thing. So if that's not happening and they are stagnating the academy, then you have to release them some way, somehow. Whatever you're going to do, they need to be through the door. And I cannot express that any more than I've already have, because we get so sentimental about releasing players. I mean, by sale, obviously we need to make back some of what we paid for them. But if that's not going to happen, we can release them on the free. And so it is not going to be a problem for me to see these players go through the door, because we really need to reset the priority and make sure that we are including the academy in any thinking. We should, I said, in my mind, I said that if we go to a 3-to-1 ratio in terms of how we evaluate what we want to do and how we want to bring players in. So therefore, if we go to a 3-to-1 ratio, we identify 3 players in the academy. For every 3 players that we identify in the academy, then we can scout one player, young player outside of the academy. And when you get that, you're going to have more of your academy being promoted and get to the first team than you going out there, and buying 2, 3, 4 youngsters that you're going to have, on top of the academy. We can't do that. And so we need to put priority on that we sell these players. We put a sort of threshold on where we want to stop with how many players we're going to bring in from other clubs and around Europe, so we can give that opportunity to the academy. That's, to me, is very, very simple. I'm a man of solutions, and I think it's a problem. And because it's a problem, we need to solve it. And that's the best way to solve it. And so Bergwijn is only going to get caught up in what is going on here. So again, if you ask me, I don't think we're selling off the players. I think we are rewriting, right, the path that we should be on, and have something, to direct the path of the players to where they need to go. And those who have been here for a while, who are not improving and getting up to the standard that is required for us to get back to where we need to be in the top 6, then those players need to go. The gap between Fernandez and Bergvall is huge. And that is why he actually needs to go. The gap between Madison and Bergvall is huge. And that is why he needs to go for himself and for the club and for everyone involved and for the kid that is coming through like a Luca Barnett from the academy. So he has a space there. Don't have to worry about that. And that's my opinion on the reason why I will differentiate and how I will differentiate the players that we want to sell that they have not developed to what we brought them in for and who we want to bring from the academy. And in my opinion, I don't think we're selling off the young players. I think we're doing the right thing by them, by the club, and by the manager to make sure that he has the top notch um, selection among the youth from the academy, and therefore when we go out there to buy players, we know exactly the reason why we are doing it, because we probably not be able to produce or they're not ready as yet, so that we can have a balanced squad. And that's important because the squad right now is very unbalanced. You cannot have 12 players that, if it really and truly, if you knuckle down and look at it and said who should go, there is not one there that will give you a reason for them to stay. And that is the point that we are with this squad. Too many players, too many projects, too many maybes, and not enough sure shots. That's my opinion. I'm DJ Paul, and I'm out of here. So be good, walk good. Until next time. Peace.